CAP members are aerospace, there we go. CAP members use AE materials, or aerospace education materials, and curriculum to teach cadets about aerospace science. We also have aerospace education memberships available for educators. Teachers who join as aerospace education members have access to AE curriculum and are free to use it in their classrooms. We have approximately 1,600 AEMs who are aerospace education members and reach nearly 45,000 youth each year. Emergency services. Okay, I think I just talked about this. But anyway, as far as emergency services are concerned, CAP is best known for search and rescue and disaster relief. Homeland Security is the new area that we are starting to work into, doing radiological scanning. We did talk about this just a moment ago. Counter-drug, humanitarian services, and Air Force ROTC flights. Okay. Just recently, CAP participated in locating an F-15 pilot, Lieutenant Colonel Morris Moose Fontenot Jr., based out of the 104th Fighter Wing in Westfield, Massachusetts. He was killed in the crash of his plane near the Virginia-West Virginia border. CAP regularly provides aerial photography and disaster relief for tornadoes, hurricanes, flooding, wildfires, and other natural disasters. During the last major hurricane, Hurricane Ike, CAP members volunteered to provide aerial assessment photography for state and federal emergency managers. CAP volunteers helped distribute ice, water, and other basics to victims of the hurricane. Some of the volunteers were local, and others came from out of state, including Maryland. They all took their time away from their jobs and families to come help the hurricane victims. Did you know that on 9/11, or September 11, the Civil Air Patrol was the only organization flying? Does everybody remember that there were no flights, no planes in the sky, except for Civil Air Patrol planes? Our cadet programs. Through their experiences as CAP cadets, young people develop into responsible citizens and become tomorrow's aerospace leaders. CAP introduces CAP cadets to Air Force perspectives on leadership through classroom instruction, mentoring, and hands-on learning. The fundamentals of aerospace science are learned in the classroom and through firsthand experiences. CAP offers weekend and summer activities that allow cadets to fly, learn to lead, explore aerospace careers, assist in CAP emergency services missions, and make friends. The leadership skills, self-confidence, and discipline cadets gain through CAP prepares them to achieve whatever goals they set for themselves in life. Okay, this is the long one. Okay, we have quite a few success stories from former CAP cadets. Major Samantha Weeks was on the U.S. Air Force Air Demonstration Squadron, or the Thunderbirds, and flew the number 5 jet as the lead solo pilot. Major Kim Campbell was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for Valor, landing her A-10 after it received heavy damage in combat in Iraq. Lieutenant General James Kevin McLaughlin, the keynote speaker at this year's CAP National Conference, which was held in Vegas. Woohoo! It was awesome. Anyway, as the Deputy Commander, U.S. Cyber Command, USCC, Fort Meade, Maryland. USCC directs the forces and daily activities of U.S. Cyber Command and coordinates the Department of Defense computer network attack and computer network defense missions. General McLaughlin entered the Air Force in 1983 as a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy. He has commanded at the squadron, group, wing, and numbered Air Force levels, and has served on the staffs of major command headquarters, combatant command headquarters, the National Reconnaissance Office, Air Force headquarters, and the Office of the Secretary of Defense. I'm trying to skip over a little bit here, trying to compress it. What's that? Go into the CAP part. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay, got to go back a little bit, and there we go. Beyond his expertise in the subject of cyberspace and his Air Force career, you can just edit that part out. General McLaughlin is one part of a very active and dedicated CAP family. His wife, Victoria, joined in 2005, and she currently serves as the Squadron Character Development and DDR Officer, which is Drug and Drug Reduction Officer, but has also served as an Activities Officer, Testing Officer, and Safety Officer. General McLaughlin joined CAP in 2006 and has served as an Aerospace Education Officer as well as a model rocketry and color guard instructor. He and his wife have been instrumental in supporting the creation of the first cyberspace familiarization course, which took place this summer at JBSA, or Joint Base, what's the SA part?
San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio, Lackland. The McLaughlins have 3 sons who are also active in the CAP program. Their oldest has just completed his studies at Norwich University and is serving in the U.S. Army. Their middle son, William, just completed his first year at the Citadel, and their youngest son, Bryson, enjoyed a very active summer participating in a number of cadet special activities, including a national-powered flight academy and cadet officer school. All of their sons have been cadet squadron commanders and have participated in numerous national cadet special activities. What I was trying to get to was CAP cadet alumni include a former Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force, several NASA astronauts, the first female Thunderbird pilot, and scores of military and commercial pilots. Approximately 10% of each freshman class, I can go there now, there we go. Approximately 10% of each freshman class at the U.S. Air Force Academy is comprised of current and former CAP cadets. If your son or daughter is interested in a career in the military or the aviation industry, CAP is a great way for them to test fly a potential career. Okay. Where is CAP? If you look at all of the red triangles, that is where CAP is. There's a good coverage of the United States. There's about 1,200 units across the country. A unit just happens to be a squadron, just as we are. We even have a few in Germany and Japan, mainly as a service to the children of military personnel stationed overseas. In Maryland, we have 30 units with the Charles Composite Squadron serving our area, and we are the newest. Captain Dog will take over now.
Thank you, Captain Pony.
Thank you.
We're doing a tag team here. And one of the things I wanted to emphasize, 95% of the search and rescue missions in the United States are done by CAP. So it's not out of the ordinary that we're called out for, like the F-15 crash that happened. Some of the new technology that's being used that we learned about at the national meeting 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas, where Carlos was really bad.
It was awesome.
It stayed there. Is cell phone forensics and radar forensics. And if you remember, sometime last year there was a family that got lost in the mountains in Nevada, and I think there was 5 of them. Their truck had overturned, they couldn't be found, and they actually were pinpointed by our cell phone forensics team. And what they can do is take the cell tower emissions that you have and pinpoint through various computer programs exactly where a person is or where they're not. And in this case, they were able to say, this is where they're not. So then they could go in and find them. It's pretty interesting stuff, and it's new technology. Some of the other stuff that's coming down the road is probably drones and things like that. So we're staying out there in front of everything. What Carlos didn't mention either was that he was one of the keynote speakers at the national meeting in the Public Affairs Academy, and did a really super job, probably the best presentation that was there. And finally, on my nickel, since I can do this, quit looking at it, Major General Joe Vasquez not Vasquez,
Yes.
is a Maryland person. He was commander of the Eastern Squadron at Ocean City. And from there he moved on and he's worked his way up to be the national commander. So pretty active bunch of folks. What's wrong? I can't read all that. We'll talk.
Okay.
And how did we get here? Originally, there was a CIP squadron at Indian Head on the naval base, and it was one of the casualties of 9/11, tightening of the security to get on base. All of you know all about that. It made it very difficult for the squadron to thrive and prosper. Plus, the EOD school, where a lot of the members came from, moved to Florida, and so things changed. We got into this business. Carlos and I have a consulting business in La Plata. Captain Montague and I. And we had this attorney working for us, Tim Corrigan. Some of you that have been at Indian Head might have known Tim. He was a lieutenant colonel in the CAP. He said, why don't you guys start a squadron, because you're so well connected, at Maryland Airport? And we didn't know any better. So in November of 2010, we had a meeting with some powers that be at Casey Jones, and here we are. In July of 2011, we were chartered. One other fortuitous thing we had that happened was there was a young priest at St. Mary's in La Plata, Sacred Heart on St. Mary's Avenue, and he just happened to be a major at that time in the Civil Air Patrol and knew everything there was to know about. And he came in and was our first squadron commander, so that helped us a lot. We're now located at Maryland Airport, 2 Whiskey 5, and we proudly call that home. And we work very closely with Gilbert Boserman to make sure it gets renewed and expanded. We are the fastest growing squadron in the Maryland Wing. That's easy to do when you start at 0. But actually we're about 50 folks. And we're also a very high-performing group. We didn't know any better. We do, since we started with pretty much new people, we had a lot of training to do, so we really got on the training bandwagon, both for the senior members and for the cadets. And we've been pretty successful, in particular with the cadets. We're 3 years old. We've had 2 cadets that have gone on to a Maryland-sponsored solo school, which is free for them, that takes them in an 8-day course from 0 to solo in an airplane and passing their FAA ground school written test. So it's pretty good. Our past cadet commander is now going to the University of North Dakota, and which is the second largest aviation school in the country, believe it or not, in the aviation program. Probably someday you'll be flying in a plane and you'll be your pilot. That is really scary. We also do orientation O-rides, and when a cadet joins, for $40 he gets a uniform, and he gets 5 one-hour-long orientation rides, which is flying in the right seat and actually flying the plane, and 5 glider rides. Plus you get discounts on boot camp every summer and anything else you might want to do. So it's a pretty good deal for the kids. If this had been available when I was growing up, I would have been all over it, because I do love to fly. I had an airplane at Maryland Airport, and this is an opportunity for me to get back in the air using somebody else's money. I talked about college and Chris. We do a lot of community service. We do have a program coming up that we'll get back to you on. We sell wreaths for Wreaths Across America. This is a a good opportunity in the fall, and then every year when it gets cold enough, we all go out and put the wreaths on the grave markers at Arlington National Cemetery. So we'll have information coming out on how you can buy a wreath, and out of that, each time you buy one, we get some money, which is a good deal because we are a 501c3, and that's how we operate. The reason I'm doing this part of it and Carlos isn't is because he was bashful because we all won so many awards, but he's done really well. Last year he won the National Public Affairs Award for, it's called the Balsam Award, named after the National Public Affairs Director. And he also got a 2 gold coin award for Above and Beyond the Call of Duty at the National Public Affairs Conference in Las Vegas. And that was a good thing he did, not the bad thing. And our squadron is currently the Middle East region nominee for Squadron of Distinction. So it's a pretty big thing for somebody that's 3 years old. Of the Year awards are given out by Maryland Wing every year. This is a list of those that we have received so far. Admin Officer, Webmaster, and I think Carlos probably will, Captain Montague will probably win that Webmaster of the Year again this year since he's developed websites for the group and several of the other squadrons and sharing his expertise. Professional Development Officer, that was me. And Medical Officer, our chaplain, of course, was our chaplain. And NCO of the Year award. This is some of the fun missions that we have. Summertime Security Mission, also known as Bay Patrol. This is funded by the state of Maryland. And all summer long, we get to fly up and down the bay and look for stuff. Theoretically, we're looking for boaters or drivers in distress or terrorists. And we go from the inner harbor of Baltimore down to the nuclear plant and then across to Cambridge and back up and around. It's pretty neat. You're flying at 1,000 feet. You're flying slow, and you get to see things that you don't normally see. Some really nice houses over there, too, by the way. In our search and rescue area in 2013, there were 13 CAP missions, 5 finds, 1 life saved. For the state of Maryland, 32 missions were flown, a total of 2,000 hours. That's quite a bit of flying in the search and rescue mode, but that doesn't include all the training missions and everything. One of the other skills that I've developed as airborne photographer. During Hurricane Sandy, CIP flew and took over 160,000 photographs documenting the storm and the damage that was done. It's an interesting thing to do, but we find that it's best if pilots do it because you're riding around in the back seat and you're taking pictures and looking through the viewfinder of a camera, and a lot of people that aren't used to that will tend to barf.
Hey, that's not fun.
But it's a pretty important mission. One of the other things we have is called JEEP. It's a geospatial real-time photography and full motion video that we do where it's transmitted back via satellite phone. So how can you help? You can just support us. You can join as a volunteer member. We have positions available. We do have a lot of senior positions where you don't have to fly. We have some where you can fly. And you could be a sponsor member, a patron member. You can donate or other things. We do have a lot of funding requirements, in particular because a lot of our cadets come from underprivileged and they really don't have a lot of money. We have, this is the commercial. We have a fundraiser coming up this Friday at the Blue Crab Stadium. We put some flyers back there to tell you how you can go buy a ticket online. You have to do it as it says in the flyer, and it costs $13 a ticket, and out of that we get half. So it's a fun time. We'll have a couple of 8-foot tall cadets there. They're blow-up dolls with a cadet inside, and they wander on, and it's a good time. They get it on with Pinch. So, and Carlos enjoys that. I mean, Captain Montague thinks it's a hoot. You're taking it over?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
I have to clip. You're so funny. Anyway, I hope that you are now more familiar with the Civil Air Patrol and what we do to serve our community and our country. To reach us, we're at the Charles Composite Squadron. Our website is charlescap.org. Okay, that's spelled right. We meet every Monday evening from 7 to 9 p.m. at Maryland Airport, which is near Bryan's Road. I am Captain Carlos Montague, along with Captain Dennis Chappell. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak with you today. Yes, sir. For whom, sir? Cadets 12 to 18. Most of our cadets are currently 14 and 15.
Seniors, as long as you can walk, and we'll waive that.
Yes, yeah.
If you want to fly, you have to be able to fit through the door. We do have weight and balance requirements, though.
Yeah. Any other questions? If not, again, we thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Pointing and Captain Dog. Jim, would you like to come up and tell us a little bit about the bike ride coming up this weekend?
I'm Jim Hudnall with the Oxnell Bicycle and Trail Club. This is my wife, Jane. We're here tonight to thank the town of Indian Head for the hospitality you show cyclists and to tell you a little about the upcoming Indian Head 100. It will be the 14th annual Indian Head 100 bicycle ride, and we could not do it without the support we get from Indian Head, especially the Community Affairs Office and from Karen. So we'd like to make a donation to the Community Affairs Office. The Indian Head 100 is this Sunday, September the 7th. Online registration is open until tomorrow. So if anyone's interested in registering, go online to www.ohbike.org and register. Also, there will be registration on Sunday morning, starting at 7 o'clock. Cyclists will leave here. They choose one of 5 different routes, 16, 31, 46, 60, or 100 miles. The 16-mile route uses the trail to leave town. They're the slower, casual cyclists who are willing to stop at the cross streets. And people doing 100 miles, they want to take off. So they head out Indian Head Highway and down Strauss. And they go across 225 to Ripley, from Ripley to Ironsides to Smallwood State Park, where we have a rest stop. Then the 100-mile route continues south on Riverside Road and goes past the entrance of Mallows Bay. And that was the theme for this year's artwork for our T-shirt. So I would like to give T-shirts to the councilman, to the town manager, and to Karen.
And the county, Charles County, has applied to the federal government for marine designation.